So welcome everyone. Thanks for joining us tonight to hear all the wonderful things about Rocky Mountaineer. Danny Becker is here. He is my representative from Rocky Mountaineer. We're going to go over some trips in the Canadian Rockies and then their newest trips through the Southwest America. So Danny, let me unmute you. Hold on a minute.
Okay, Darby.
Yes, thank you. Yes,
All right, great. Did you start the recording?
I did.
Perfect. Well, welcome everybody. My name again is Danny Becker. I'm based in Dallas, Texas, and I've been with Rocky Mountaineer now for 5 years. Saturday, it'll be 5 years this coming Saturday, and it's an amazing company to work for. It's been owned by the same family, same gentleman for 30 years, Peter Armstrong. And we are so excited to bring you this new USA route called Rockies to Red Rocks. My submission, they had a little internal contest, and my submission was from Mile High to Moab. I thought that was better, but they went with Rockies to the Red Rocks, and I guess either one works, right? So,
Right.
but thank you again for joining us tonight, and Darby, thank you for having me. And before I get into the Rockies to Red Rocks route, I do want to just show you a little bit about our product itself. You know what our experience is like, and I'll show you some of the packages in Canada, and then we'll get more into Rockies to Red Rocks. And Bill, you know, Bill's been on it, so you're there to keep me honest. If I'm not saying anything that's absolutely true here, we'll jump right in, Bill. I appreciate you all coming tonight. So let me see if I got control here, Darby. Yeah, I do. There we go. When we talk about Rocky Mountaineer, we talk about a lot of things, but we really focus on about 5 or 6 key attributes of the Rocky Mountaineer experience. As you probably can tell now, I mean, we're not about transportation. We're about seeing the Canadian Rockies and now the U.S. Rockies in luxury. This is a luxury vacation experience, and I think you'll see why as we go through this. So why Rocky Mountaineer? Well, that, like I said, we talk about a lot of things. We focus on a few, and here's one of them. This is our all domes state-of-the-art fleet of rail cars. This is one of our brand new 3.0, our third generation gold leaf cars. They're built by a company called Stadler in Germany, and they're $10 million a piece. And that's a high-end RV, right?
Yes.
And like, I mean, and it should be to see this beautiful scenery. These double-decker cars hold 68 guests, and they most of the seats that you see there, all but the bulkheads, actually will swivel. So if you have 2 couples traveling together, the host can actually push a pedal on one side of the seats and turn it around, and you've got 2 couples facing each other. So that's kind of nice. And that's in both our silver leaf cars and our gold leaf cars. So that's the first thing we focus on. And I'll get more into the classes of service here in just a minute. The next thing we focus on is our gourmet cuisine, particularly in gold leaf. We have Michelin trained chefs in every gold leaf car. Our executive chef is constantly going back and forth between the gold leaf kitchens to make sure that everything is done perfectly. And we can accommodate, because everything is made to order in gold leaf, we can accommodate just about any kind of dietary restriction. The only thing that I know of that we can't accommodate is kosher, because what's needed for that. But it is absolutely stunning cuisine, and there's something very surreal, something very special about enjoying a gourmet meal while you're traveling through this beautiful country. So that's the next thing we focus on. Next is our dreamy hotel partners. You know, some people don't know this, but we put you up in nice hotels at night. You don't sleep on the train unless you just want to take a quick nap, but you don't want to miss anything, because right around the corner may be a famous landmark, or they may be serving you a drink, and the host will go on the intercom and yell out black bear on the right, or grizzly bear on the right, or or whatever. It's just one surprise after the other on our routes. So this is one of the most famous, if not the most famous, hotels in all of Canada. It's the Fairmont Banff Springs, and it's just one of the partners that we utilize there in Canada. Next, we focus on our 3 stunning seasons. Typically, our season lasts from mid-April through mid-October. We're shortening it a little bit this year. It's going from late April to early October. And that left-hand picture you see there, that's Lake Louise. It can be frozen until early June. And the middle picture, there's the bulk of our season. I would say the mid-June through mid-September timeframe. That's when the days are longer and warmer, and that's when most of our guests are traveling. But I'll tell you, my favorite time to go is in the fall. I love the fall. I led a big group on our train I say last year. It was actually 2019, late September 2019. We landed in Calgary. It had been hot in Texas for the entire, well, of course, all of the summer and through August and September. We landed in Calgary on September 29th, and there was 5 inches of snow on the ground in Calgary. But we had a phenomenal trip. There was a little bit of snow on the mountains. It was cool weather. The trip just could not have been better. So that kind of became my favorite time to go, is in the fall. The next thing we focus on is our customized journeys. And I'll get into that on our route map here in just a minute. But I love this picture because it's this sort of dreamy picture of these 2 ladies looking at the bridge they just crossed over. And this is one of our exclusive outdoor viewing platforms on one of our gold leaf cars. And it holds about 15 or 20 people. It's covered, it's protected. It's a great place to go out anytime you want to and take pictures, take your drink out there, meet people. And it's on the bottom level of the twin level car. So, you can take one of the spiral staircases down there, or there's even a small lift on board as well. So, but I'll get into customized journeys momentarily. The next thing we focus on is our world-class service. We are very prideful about this. I mean, we have won a lot of awards for our service. You can have all the great, $10 million cars and great scenery and wonderful food, but if the service is not great, then something very, very important is missing, right? So,
Right.
very proud of that, and we've won awards for that. In fact, in 2019, our net promoter score was 82, one of the highest scores, not just in the travel industry, but in any industry. And that's a measurement of how likely people are to refer friends and family. So we've kind of adopted the saying, life-changing experiences. A lot of companies say that, but we hear it a lot at events from people that have been on our train. We see it on comment cards. We're very proud of it. And those are 2 of our gold leaf cars there right together. And you can see the height advantage that you have, and just the perfect perch that you have to view the beautiful Rockies. So here's our Canadian route map. And you can see we have 3 primary routes. The red route is called First Passage to the West. That is probably our most popular route. It's our oldest route. It has a huge amount of history on that route, a lot of very special landmarks and bridges and waterfalls and rushing rivers and what have you. And you can go, eastbound or westbound on any of these routes. The blue route is called Journey Through the Clouds, and the green route is called Rainforest to Gold Rush. And I mentioned customizability in that one slide. When you're on the train, you're either Silverleaf or you're Gold Leaf, and that experience is stellar. It's special for everyone, but it's before or after the train trip that's very customizable. In other words, if you want to spend a couple of days in Vancouver and get to know the city, or a couple more days in Victoria at the Fairmont Empress, and see Vancouver Island, and you can do that. So it's on either end of the rail trip that it's really highly customizable, as far as not just the hotels, but the activities as well. So hopefully that explains kind of how we do it. Those are the routes themselves, but what we do is we combine them with these famous hotels. I mentioned one of them earlier, the Fairmont Banff Springs. That's that middle bottom hotel. But Chateau Lake Louise at the top left, that's a very unique picture of that property, that's looking from the other side of the lake at the hotel. Normally you see the lake from the other side of the hotel, but that's a different and very special picture with the lights shining off the lake. But bottom left is the Fairmont Jasper Park Lodge, and then bottom right is an interior shot of the Four Seasons Whistler. So in the top right is the La Germain in Calgary. So these are just a few of our hotel partners, our Gold Leaf hotel partners, but we actually do deal with a number of other hoteliers, in Canada and now in the US as well. So if you're thinking about a one-way, this is one of our most popular one-way packages. It is called First Passage to the West Highlights, and you can see there from the route map at the bottom, it comes with 2 nights in Vancouver, and the 1 night in Kamloops is always the case. Those are 10-hour days, by the way, from Vancouver to Kamloops and Kamloops to Banff. And then it comes with 1 night each in Banff and Lake Louise, and then 1 night to end the trip in Calgary. Now, the sister package to this is probably our best seller as far as one-ways, and it's called First Passage to the West at Leisure, because you have 2 days each in Banff and Lake Louise. And if you're going to do a one-way, this is one of the ones I would highly recommend. And you can see it has a panoramic helicopter trip there at the end as well. Now, what we hear a lot from our guests is we loved it. We did a one-way, but we really wanted more time on the train. And so they'll come back and they'll do what we call a circle journey. And this is one of our more popular circle journeys that has 5 days on the train. And you can see all of the great time that you have in the Rockies and in Vancouver as well. So this is about a 11-night, 12-day trip, somewhere around in there. And there's another one that's very similar to this. It's called the Grand Rail Circle, and it has an extra night in Banff. So it has 2 nights in Jasper, 2 nights in Lake Louise, and 3 nights in Banff. And so that's the Grand Rail Circle. Just some of the awards that we're known for: the Travel Weekly Reader's Choice Awards. There at the bottom, that's probably the one we're most proud of. I think we've won that now about 12 or 13 times. We're really proud of those. And service levels. Darby, were you about to say something? I didn't mean to interrupt you if you were.
No, that's okay.
Let me just tell you a little bit about service levels, and then we'll get into Rockies to the Red Rocks. Here's a kind of a comparison between our Silverleaf at the bottom. There's the Silverleaf cars hold 56. As I mentioned earlier, the Gold Leaf cars hold 68. Silverleaf is a wonderful class of service as well. It's like first class on an airline. Everything, all your snacks, meals, and drinks and everything are served seat side like first class on an airline. Only I would add that it's much better for food service and much better everything than on any airline I've certainly been on. But it is special, and those Silverleaf cars have been redone in the last 4 or 5 years to the tune of about $5 million a piece. And you'll see some pictures of those here in a minute. And I just want to stop here and say that everything is included on the train. I mean, you'll literally want for nothing on the train. All food, all snacks, all alcohol, top shelf liquors, beers, wines. You will get off the train at night, and most people are not hungry at all that night for dinner, whether their destination is in Kamloops or Banff or Lake Louise. So that's been my experience. I just want to set this video up. This is one of our collaborative BBC videos, and we brought this gentleman on board. We invited him on a couple of years ago, and I just love his eloquent explanation of his experience on Rocky Mountaineer. So I'll let it speak for itself. Here we go.
I grew up wanting to capture the memories that I saw around me, wanting to be that guy, the guy that created the image that went with the narrative. Try to capture the essence of an experience because I don't want it to fade in my memory. I grew up in a Midwestern rail town with the sound of trains rolling by at night, sounds of their whistles. Those have always been magical sounds for me. I've traveled and painted all over the world. I've never been to the Canadian Rockies. And from the very beginning, from rolling out of Vancouver, every minute, every direction I look, it is a painting. The thing that struck me most visually about the whole journey was the transitions between temperate rainforest in Vancouver to a semi-arid experience rolling into Kamloops. And then climbing into the Rockies, suddenly the plants change, the gradients of the river change. From the moment I stepped on, I couldn't believe the totality of the experience. It was visual, it was sensory in every aspect, from the food, the conversations, the sounds, like being surrounded by family. It's mind-blowing to have that perception of life, but then to get off Rocky Mountaineer and find out that getting there is just as good as the going. To actually walk into those vistas and have your feet on the ground and to breathe the air and feel the wind and the coolness of the wind off the snow is a priceless gift. The details of the journey on Rocky Mountaineer that will remain with me are those of looking at the track that we've just traveled on as we move away from the life I knew before the experience towards the life that I know now. Looking up the track and knowing that I'm on that train. I'm actually part of it. It's not just a train in the distance, but I'm connected. It's sort of an elemental experience, which I think all good art should be.
I hope you all enjoyed that. Darby, could you see that? Did that come through pretty well?
Yeah, that's a great video, Danny. I mean, it really shows that you're in the wilderness and, just being able to enjoy nature.
Yeah, I loved his the way he presented that for sure. Well, I'm glad that came through. So now Rockies to Red Rocks. I thought you'd appreciate that I didn't put the sound in the fireworks here, so I left the. So I'm calling these soundless fireworks. But so we've been looking at doing this for several years now. And our owner Peter Armstrong said that earlier this year he said, okay, if we can't bring our U.S. guests to ride our train in Canada, we're going to bring the train to them, and that's what we're doing. And so, as I mentioned earlier, it is called Rockies to Red Rocks. And here's just a few of the things we'll go over quickly. This is kind of an intro season for us. There'll be 40 total departures, 20 westbound, 20 eastbound, starting August 15th, going into October, spread over 10 weeks. And some of the things that we'll be kind of going over today is just highlighting some of the great landmarks on this route. What the days look like on the train, some scenic highlights, information about Denver, Glenwood Springs, and Moab, of course, and some sample packages. So, but first I've got just a quick introduction video. This is much shorter than the previous one. This is our new Rockies to the Red Rocks intro video. So it's about a minute long, I think, or less.
An extraordinary place deserves an extraordinary way to see it. Our newest route, Rockies to the Red Rocks, brings 30 years of Rocky Mountaineer's world-class service to the stunning desert vistas of the American Southwest. Traveling from the vibrant Denver, Colorado, past some of nature's wonders, vast canyons, chromatic deserts, and panoramic views, to the mesmerizing red rock landscapes that twist through the bright blue sky. It's rail travel at its best. After all, if you're going to see an extraordinary place, you want an extraordinary way to see it.
So our partner in the U.S. is Union Pacific, and they've been just fantastic working with us. We're going to be bringing 6 of our Silverleaf cars for this intro season because we found out that the gold leaf domes, the gold leaf cars that we have, are just a little bit too tall for the tunnels on this route. So we're bringing 6 Silverleaf cars, and now we're hearing maybe even more, because the response to this new route is really fantastic. And so Silverleaf will be our class of service on this, and we'll have something kind of an added or an enhanced Silverleaf a class of service called Silverleaf Plus as well. And I'll go into that in a minute, but you can see, kind of like Canada, a lot of what you see on this route, you can't see any other way. Well, what we say on our Canadian routes is 70% of what you see on those routes, you can only see from the train tracks, and it's very similar. And on this route, we'll be following the Colorado River for about 60% of the journey. And the day from Denver to Glenwood Springs is a little bit shorter than, let's say, from Vancouver to Kamloops. That's about a 10-hour day, and then this is about an 8-hour trip on the train. So you leave at 9 in the morning and arrive Glenwood Springs at 5 in the afternoon. And they're saying there is no freight traffic on this line, so we should be able to maintain a great on-time performance here. And there's a lot to see on that route on that day. And then Glenwood Springs is going to be very special, and I'll get into a lot of details on that shortly. But here's the first day. You can see Big Ten Curve, Cold Creek Canyon, Gross Reservoir Dam, Moffett Tunnel, and I could go on. But here's some of the shots, some of the highlights of that day one out of Denver going westbound. Red Canyon there, the Byers Canyon, Gross Reservoir Dam. I understand that's a major source of water for all of Colorado. Day two, leaving Glenwood Springs, Colorado at fairly early at 7 a.m., but arriving Moab, Utah, actually just outside Moab, Utah. We're going to be building a little platform or station there, about 10 or 15 minutes outside, but we'll be arriving there at about noon and turning the train around fairly quickly to go back eastbound. But here are some highlights of that day two: Parachute Creek, Mount Logan, DeBeck Canyon, Mount Garfield, Ruby Canyon, Mount Peel, and the La Salle Mountains, on here. And there's some of the shots of that. So some beautiful topography here, and Book Cliffs and La Salle Mountains. And I mentioned Silverleaf. Here's one of the exterior shots of our Silverleaf cars.
Danny.
Yes, ma'am. Go ahead.
Can you, Sandy asked a question, the difference between the gold leaf cars and the silver leaf cars. Can you talk about that now? Yeah,
the gold leaf cars are twin level, and they have 2 seatings for breakfast and lunch. Typically, you're having breakfast and lunch, and in
a dining room in a separate.
That's right. You go downstairs to the dining area in gold leaf, and Silverleaf, everything is served seat side, like first class on an airline. But it's great food in either class of service, and it's all included in either class of service. And this is one of, like I said, one of the Silverleaf cars. You can see how huge the picture windows are, and that's actually a plus, especially for photographers. You can see an interior shot here, and that gives you an idea of how large those windows are. And these Silverleaf cars are partially domed in the top corners. And as I mentioned earlier, these seats, all but the bulkheads, also swivel. And so if you have 2 couples that want to talk and enjoy a drink and the scenery and dining together, our host can make that happen pretty quickly. You can see some service coming there. And then here's a dessert service. This picture really shows you how much leg room you have in Silverleaf as well. So that's just a little bit of a few of the differences. And then I mentioned Silverleaf Plus. For additional, I think it's about $499, you'll have access to our Silverleaf Plus lounge car. This is being renovated as we speak. There'll be certain times of the day that they'll ask Silverleaf Plus guests or invite them in to this lounge, and they'll be serving. They'll have a bartender in there and serving canapes and upgraded lunches and breakfast in there as well, breakfast items. So that's Silverleaf Plus. And so more to come as we get a little bit closer to this season. And again, we're having such great response to this that we're thinking about bringing our other lounge car down and more Silverleaf cars as well. So this is a post on TripAdvisor from 2019 about someone's experience on Silverleaf. So don't think of one as better than the other. They're just different. They're both high quality. And that was the idea that from the inception of Silverleaf, we wanted to bring it up closer to the level and make it a little more difficult to choose between Silverleaf and Gold Leaf. So here are three main destinations. You can see Moab, Utah at the top there and the red rocks of that area. And then Glenwood Springs, bottom left, and Denver, Colorado, bottom right. Let's talk about Denver for a minute. This is going to be a really special place to begin or end your Rocky Mountaineer trip. It kind of makes sense. Rocky Mountain High, right? I mean, but the station here is phenomenal. There's a lot of history. It's called Union Station. There is a hotel built in. It's called the Crawford. That's not the only hotel we'll be using, but that's one of them. But the whole Larimer Square area is spectacular. This is the Denver Museum of Art at the top there. The Larimer Square area is very, very walkable. Lots of great outdoor dining, lots of brew pubs, as you can see there on the right. It's just going to be a great area to begin or end your trip. And also, a special thing about this is going to be you'll be able to take the A-Line train directly from Denver Airport into Union Station. And all of the hotels we're using are right there in that Larimer Square area. And that A-Line is only about $10 a person. It takes about 35 minutes, we're told. So we're talking a lot about that. And then Glenwood Springs, the interim stop in either direction, if you're going eastbound or westbound. I didn't know much about this town, until we started talking about it as a company. And this is going to be a great interim stop. It's an eminently walkable little town. It has lots of great restaurants. Again, lots of outdoor dining. It has a pedestrian bridge over the Colorado River, and it's known for its historic hotels and hot springs. It's got the world's largest hot springs pool, and you can walk anywhere in the town in just 5 or 10 minutes. So it's going to be a great interim stop for us in either direction, and a little bit more on that to come in just a minute, and I'll show you some of the hotels we're using. But Moab, Utah, some of the rock formations there in that area, and the Mighty Five National Parks will be the big draw on that end of the trip, whether you're doing that at the front end and then doing the train afterwards, or doing this at the back end. We've got a lot of great tours. Our partner in Utah for these trips is, and part of Colorado, is a company called Southwest Adventure Tours, or we call them SWAT for short, but they're going to do a great job for us. They've got everything we need. But you can see here's Moab downtown, very similar to Glenwood Springs. A lot of restaurants, a lot of shopping, and the hotels there that we're using are great as well. In fact, here are some of those. The Moab, the Hoodoo Moab Curio Collection by Hilton is the top picture there. That's the lobby area, and then the Hyatt Place, bottom left, and the Hilton Homewood Suites. So those are our three main properties at this point in Moab, Utah. And there's an exterior shot of that first one, that Curio Collection Hotel. Kind of looks like something you would see, of course, in Arizona or New Mexico. It has that southwestern flair for sure. And so it's going to be one of our great properties there. And here's an interior shot, that property at the top, and then Hyatt Place, bottom left, and Hilton Homewood Suites, bottom right there, the interior shot. So now back to the hotels in Glenwood Springs. So here's the Glenwood Hot Springs Resort at the top, and they actually include admission, or if you're staying there, they include admission to the hot springs free of charge. Now this is like Kamloops for us in Canada. We have to manage the inventory very closely in the interim stop in like Kamloops in Canada, and same thing here with Glenwood Springs. And so we choose the hotel for you here. And one of the historic hotels is the Hotel Denver, bottom left there, and then the Hotel Colorado, bottom right. A lot of history in those two properties, but there are other hot springs there in that area as well that are available. But that's the world's largest hot springs pool. There's the Hotel Denver is the top there, interior shot there, and then Glenwood Hot Springs Resort, a twin queen there looks like, bottom left, and then the Hotel Colorado bottom right. And then in Denver, our hotel partners there. The top one is the Maven Hotel, very modern, contemporary style of hotel. And all of these three hotels are right there together. And then you can see the Crawford Hotel bottom left, and that's inside Union Station. A lot of history there, and that's a fairly new hotel built within that station, built kind of in a historic way there. And then bottom right is the Oxford, and you can see how close they are. If you look under that porte-cochere under the sign Oxford there, you can see Union Station off in the distance there, or actually not so distant, just right across the street there. So those are our three main properties, and then some interior shots. Denver, the Oxford Hotel is the top picture there, King Room, and the Crawford bottom left. The Maven, you can tell, bottom right, is a more contemporary type of property. And you can see one of the stadiums, I'm guessing that's the Denver Broncos stadium, outside the window there at the Maven. So this is, like I said, I'm really excited to see what Denver has to offer in that downtown area. And I know there is a hop on, hop off bus that just goes a few blocks and takes you to the actual downtown area. So we're getting to the end here, but I did want to just show you, pardon me, a couple of our packages. The Rockies to the Red Rocks Classic is kind of a basic package. It's 2 days on board the train, of course, on board the Rocky Mountaineer, Silverleaf, and then 3 nights hotel, one in Denver, one in Glenwood Springs, and one in Moab. And so that's a basic, whether you're doing it eastbound or westbound. So one that's a little bit longer, Rockies to the Red Rocks Discovery Self-Drive. And we know that some people are still going to want to, stay away from buses and motor coaches. And if you want to, that's fine. We have these self-drives as well. And that includes a 3-day full-size car rental. Now, at the time I did this, I didn't have all the prices except for this one. And this is a ballpark price. The prices, from what we understand, were actually loaded in our reservation system yesterday for individuals. So I think they're all in there now, and they're selling well. We were actually, taking reservations for them, but now they're actually loading them in there as they're selling them. But this is the Rockies to the Red Rocks Explorer. It ends up in Las Vegas if you're going westbound, and the hotel partner there in Las Vegas is the main one we're using there is the Caesar's Palace. So our promotion, our newest promotion starts actually Saturday. It's called 31 is the new 30, and we thought that would be appropriate since our 30th anniversary was supposed to be in 2020. And we did not run at all last year because of the COVID virus. So now we're calling our newest promotion 31 is the new 30, and it's 3 complimentary perks. And this is for our Canada routes only. We're not at this point doing any kind of promotion on the Rockies to the Red Rocks route, because it's just going gangbusters. Now that may change. We'll see, but we are doing some very special deposit parameters. So, and let me go over those since we're talking about Rockies to the Red Rocks. Future travel credit. So if you did possibly have a future travel credit from 2020, you can use that on this Rockies to Red Rocks route. If it's a brand new booking, you can put down a $25 risk-free deposit. And they just extended that from January 31st to February 2nd, I believe it is. And then you have 60 days to completely decide whether you want to go forward with the booking or get a complete refund on it. And If you do decide to go ahead with the booking, you have 2 free date changes up to final payment, which is 60 days prior to travel, and you have 1 free name change up to 30 days prior to travel. And it's very similar on the Western Canada routes as well, on the right-hand side. So I'm pretty much out of time, but if you are looking at 2022, we have our rail only dates loaded both in Canada and the US Rockies to Red Rocks route. Just the rail only dates at this time. They're saying the full packages will be in the system sometime in early to mid-March, which is not that far away. So if you want to book something for 2022, you can put down a $25 fully refundable deposit, and you don't have to make a decision on what you're going to do until May 14th of this year of 2021. So we're offering a lot of flexibility, whether you want to travel in 2021 or 22. So hope all that makes sense. And safety has always been our concern, but with this virus, we have a full gamut of safety protocols that we have in place, and we're just waiting to see how much of an issue the virus still is when we're running, when we're traveling, and so more to come on that. But it includes, we've purchased all these disinfecting misters for on board, enhanced sanitation, constantly on the train, adjustments to boarding procedures. It could be that we'll be boarding from half full motor coaches to half full rail cars. So we'll see as we get a little bit closer, and we'll adjust accordingly. But we have a full gamut of things ready to go when our season starts. So thank you very much. And Darby, I hope I didn't go too long over.
No, thank you, Danny. This was very good. I'm gonna stop the recording now. And so let me